Before we get started, I wanted to say that this is a spoiler-free video. Outside of background footage, which will be the first map in the open world of Visions of Eternity, there will be no spoilers in this video. Now that the third expansion is now out and we have seen what this expansion has, gotten into the first two maps, gotten some experience with the kind of storytelling and event cadence of this expansion, we will see if Arenanet was able to learn from their previous two expansions. I decided to do my first and likely only 10-hour stream I'll ever do on launch day yesterday, October 28th, to dive into the Visions of Eternity content, and I can honestly say yes. Arenanet has learned from some of their mistakes. Let's go through some of my first impressions and let me put things in relation to the last two releases, being GW2 Wilds and Secrets of the Obscure, to get an idea of where Visions of Eternity lands and how I feel about it. First up, let me say that the character selection screen is absolutely beautiful. It is arguably my favorite one so far. The music is great, it has a lot of string instruments, and it feels appropriate for the ambience of the expansion. The storytelling of this expansion is told in a more active way. There is significantly less exposition, aka yapping, than in both of the previous two expansions. So if you play GW2 Wilds or Secrets of the Obscure and you're used to just watching NPCs talk to each other, that really does not happen here. We have a return to form for Arenanet where we get a segment of talking and then an active segment and then a segment of talking, and then it goes on and on. The fill up the bar mechanic is more or less gone in terms of them using the fill up the bar mechanic to tell you to run around and explore the map, and it is replaced with various collections. I think this is definitely a better way of doing it. However, with no wiki to guide you, it can be kind of problematic. There is a mail that does get sent to you for the first one. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but that will help you if you are having problems. Now, besides that, there is some fill up the bar stuff, but those are just like regular event style collection stuff where you're collecting salvage or you're looking for vantage points. But these were done really quickly as opposed to like a 20-minute derail onto the main story where they just say like, go complete events or go do this. The fill up the bar was like a very specific story segment, and it made sense. Moving on to the elite specializations and getting your hands on them if you missed the betas or if you were like me and you intentionally did not play them. I found that the elite specs are performing well, and I haven't heard too many people complain. Almost everybody that I know kind of picked a different one. Some people picked the Luminary, some people picked the Ritualist. I decided to play through the game on the Amalgam, and it feels really fun. Out of all of the people that I've watched, all the people that I've talked to, I haven't really seen any major complaints about the new specializations, and some really strong builds are coming out of the community already. The new legendaries feel like they have meaningful collections to guide their acquisition as opposed to just give me a bunch of materials over and over. I did start the legendary Aqua Breather. That is going to be the first thing that I'm working towards in this expansion, and then after that I will be working on the Spear. But the fact that these legendaries have these collections similar to like the Nevermores and the Hopes of the previous Heart of Thorns era expansions feels really, really good. In terms of this expansion release, I've been having a blast. There have been very few bugs that have caused me issues. There were some associated with the story, which people voiced out to me. But to answer the question, if Arenanet learned, it appears that they finally did learn their lesson, at least for right now. Now, I know that I'm sounding like Shillouette gaming as opposed to Silhouette gaming, but let me tell you some of my concerns before I end this video off. I am trying to be a balanced voice in the community. I don't want to misguide you in the event that you are on the fence about getting this expansion, so don't swipe just yet. Let me tell you some of my concerns. My first concern is sticking power. We have about a 6-month window until the next section of story gets released, so the maps that we have to have some sticking power, and it's a little too early to determine what that sticking power is. Once we get through all the legendaries and stuff, we will see how replayable these maps are. With that said though, there does seem to be, at least for right now, quite a bit of meat that was released. Now, if you are not a big legendary collector guy or you're not interested in the legendaries that they released on launch day, you might not be interested. we will see what happens. You might have the opportunity of converting some of those materials into gold and stuff like that. It all depends on kind of what the community discovers as the weeks go on. The map itself is absolutely beautiful. However, I did spend quite a bit of time in the grotto navigation stuff, and that is kind of confusing. This is a double-edged sword because I really do like the fact that the first map has a lot of layers and levels to it, but it reminds me of Tangled Depths in a way. And it's not quite as confusing as Tangled Depths was when that was introduced, but it has enough caves and caverns to make map completion kind of annoying. The next concern that I have is more related to the release cadence, which is the 6-month window for the next story segment. So following this, we have 6 months before we get the next story segment. We do get a raid encounter, which is a single boss, 3 months with a challenge mode. So there is that. Hopefully the raid LFG rework and the new encounter will be good and will keep people engaged during that 6-month window. So for 3 months from now, in early 2026, we'll have some new raid stuff to mess around with. We will likely have a new balance for that segment too. So there's going to be a ton of builds and a ton of new encounters and stuff for people to mess around with. But I do think 6 months is kind of a long time. And I think we will largely see the same release cadence concerns that we saw with Giant Wilds and Secrets of the Obscure, which clearly that part is not changing. They're trying to balance these releases as much as they can. And it does seem like they front loaded as much as they can for Visions of Eternity. But if you are a gamer who doesn't mind playing games post-release, and you don't need to be the first one on the scene, I definitely think you would have a better experience waiting for the entire expansion to be done. From the gamers that I do chat with who started recently and they bought Secrets of the Obscure or they bought Giant Wilds after the entire season ended, I think that they had much better reception of the content overall than the players who were playing through the content through the season. I don't know if that's good advice because you are missing all of the current release hype, and the maps do die after a certain amount of time if they're not good, but we'll see what happens with Visions of Eternity. Overall, I am enjoying the release so far. I think Arenanet did a great job of incorporating the feedback that they were given in the ways that they could, and it does feel better than the previous 2 launches, especially on the storytelling front. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching. If you stopped by my stream yesterday, I want to thank you for stopping by. A big thanks to all of the subs and a special thanks to all of my members who support the channel directly. If you got a gifted membership, you can thank Mitch. He was gifting on YouTube. The YouTube community that we are building really brings a tear to my eye. You guys are awesome. And before I kill this video, make sure you sub if you haven't already. I'll be doing a lot of build videos over the coming weeks alongside more VOE content once everybody makes their way through the story. For all the members of the channel, I do have more chapters of Ghosts of Ascalon coming out alongside the other 2 books that are sitting on my desk waiting to be converted into an audiobook. So stay tuned for all of that. If you don't have the expansion yet, I am an Arenanet partner, so using my referral link in the description below is an excellent way to support the channel if you are so interested. And finally, I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for all of your support, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.